Singapore is a small state located in Southeast Asia. There are about 5.7 million people living in Singapore, 61% of whom are citizens of this state. With a total area of 280 square miles, it has the second largest population density in the world, and the whole country represents just one big city with suburbs. Located on an island, the Singapore dollar, SGD, is considered to be one of the most stable currencies, and it is the 13th most traded currency in the world, which is remarkable for a country of this size. As a result, over the last 30 years, its exchange rate over the US dollar has increased from 1.9 to 1.4 SGD USD. In order to understand the path that led to Singapore's success, we first have to go back to its foundation. Its strategic geographic position for trade made it ideal for the British to found a colony in 1819. However, the location is not the sole reason behind its success. After all, many countries such as Thailand or Indonesia also benefit from a similar position, yet they were not able to follow such a successful path. The fact that Singapore belonged to the British Empire contributed to develop it into an important hub for connections between the colonies of the Far East and Europe. Nonetheless, when the country became independent from Malaysia in 1965, it was considered to be far behind the so-called industrialized world. Much of the success of Singapore is owed to one man, Lee Kuan Yew, a British educated from the Singaporean Chinese community. Lee is considered by many, such as Robert Kaplan, an influential geostrategist. Moreover, he was the mastermind behind Singapore's strategy to foment foreign direct investment and open the economy to globalization, a very innovative idea for its time. Adding to the influx of foreign capital was the heavy involvement of a large state in the economy. By the late 1970s and early 80s, Singapore was a manufacturing giant in Southeast Asia, becoming one of the first countries to become industrialized along with the other three Asian tigers in what was largely a rural Asia. These tigers were characterized by experiencing rapid economic growth based on manufacturing. In the case of Singapore, this manufacturing boom was explained by the shipyard industry that created synergies with its important trade port and electronics manufacturing. Singapore was once the largest producer of hard disk drives. Singapore is now mainly driven by the service sector due to consistently being ranked as one of the easiest countries to do business in, and having a highly qualified workforce, a product of its strong education system. All these economic strategies have made Singapore one of the richest states, averaging a GDP per capita of $57,713. Nonetheless, it is still a somewhat unequal country as well, ranking behind countries such as the UK and Japan in the Gini Index, but still in a better position than the US. The city is also one of the most expensive places in which to own a car, because of government quotas and taxes that aim at reducing traffic congestion and CO2 emissions, while simultaneously incentivizing public transportation. Among many factors that determined the success of Singapore, the development of an excellent educational system was among the most important. From the very beginning, political leaders of Singapore considered education as the main tool for both advancing national economy and nation building. Singapore's economy has been previously ranked as the most open in the world, the joint fourth least corrupt, and the most pro-business. Singapore has low tax rates and the second highest per capita GDP in the world in terms of purchasing power parity, PPP. Singapore has a highly developed and successful free market economy. It enjoys an open and corruption-free environment, stable prices, and a per capita GDP higher than that of most developed countries. Unemployment is very low. The economy depends heavily on exports, particularly of electronics, petroleum products, chemicals, medical and optical devices, pharmaceuticals, as well as on Singapore's vibrant transportation, business and financial services sectors. With the addition of tax and regulatory incentives, made it ideal for the establishment of financial services. Big banks, consultancy firms, and insurance providers swiftly moved to the city that quickly became a hub for the service industry, capable of supplying the whole surrounding region. Singapore is now mainly driven by the service sector due to consistently being ranked as one of the easiest countries to do business in, and having a highly qualified workforce, a product of its robust education system. It can even be argued that Singapore is trying to become an Asian Switzerland, as it has implemented policies that increase bank account secrecy, a move that could mean another influx of capital into the city-state. Besides this, owing to the high concentration of capital and qualified workforce, The country invested more than $1 billion in startups, meaning it is keeping up with its innovative agenda. Tourism is also found to be a major contributor to the Singaporean economy, magnetizing more than 17 million visitors in 2017. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC, Singapore revenue from tourism supports 164,000 jobs that also interpose a 4% growth of gross domestic product, GDP. Recognizing the importance of tourism, the Singapore Tourism Board, STB, expanded its role beyond the promotion and began to establish Singapore as a tourism hub equally for the tourism industry and tourists. This marked a smart move in entrenched creation of iconic products and promotional activities regarding tourism. Therefore, Singapore's economic growth is highly connected with tourism. Employment is the most useful indicator to measure the social impact of tourism. This is because the tourism industry potentially increases foreign exchanges, strengthen linkages, create employment, and help to alleviate poverty. According to Turner & Sears, 2014, travel and tourism is the leading employment creator that introduced more than 98 million jobs around the world till now. The income incurred from the tourism shortly eliminates unemployment as such companies restructured their operations. Singapore has been described as a playground for the rich, and it's true that the small city-state does have a certain sheen of wealth. But Singapore offers more than just high-end shopping malls, luxury hotels, and fine dining. I will tell you top list of the top attractions in Singapore. Number 1. Marina Bay Sands. The opulent Marina Bay Sands Resort Complex includes a high-end luxury hotel, a mall with a canal running through it, the Art Science Museum, and the Marina Bay Sands Sky Park Observation Deck, a vantage point for taking in the entire city. The Sky Park's viewing deck and infinity pool are found in the ship. Only hotel guests are allowed to use the infinity pool, but anyone can visit the observation deck. Number 2. Gardens by the Bay. Once you've glimpsed this beautifully designed green space, you won't be able to stay away. Wander through the Bay East Garden, perfect for enjoying the vibrant plant life and escaping the city bustle for a moment. Number 3. Botanic Gardens. Not to be confused with the gardens on the bay, the Botanic Gardens are also worth a visit. Singapore received its first UNESCO World Heritage nomination for its botanical gardens, and with good reason. The city can sometimes feel like a concrete jungle, albeit a clean and comfortable one, but the Botanic Gardens preserve pieces of Singapore's wilder heritage. Number 4. Singapore Zoo. The orangutans are particularly impressive. There is also a large chimpanzee family, zebras, meerkats, a Komodo dragon, mole rats, white tigers, kangaroos, and many other creatures. Number 5. Orchard Road. One could be forgiven for coming to Singapore and doing nothing but shopping, as this is a world-class city for style and designer chic. The Orchard Road area is a great place to start a shopping spree, as there are high-end stores at every turn. Number 6. Singapore Flyer. If the observation deck at the Marina Bay Sands doesn't quite do it for you, try taking in high tea while looking out over the city from the Singapore Flyer, the world's largest giant observation wheel. Number 7. Raffles Hotel Singapore. This colonial building is one of the world's last grand 19th century hotels, once visited by literary luminaries such as Rudyard Kipling and Joseph Conrad, as well as movie star Charlie Chaplin. Number 8. Chinatown. If you've ever visited China, Singapore's Chinatown neighborhood will bring you right back here. From the small mom-and-pop stores and authentic Chinese food to the bright red lanterns, there's excitement and hustle in this district. Number 9. Sentosa Island. Singapore isn't exactly known as a beach destination, but if you're really craving some fun in the sun, Sentosa Island is the place to find it. Silazo Beach is a good spot for getting in beach time, and visitors can play volleyball on free courts or go kayaking and ski boarding. Number 10. Clarke Quay. A center of commerce during the 19th century, Clarke Quay lives up to its legacy as a busy hub. Today, it has a more polished sheen, so after a long day of shopping on Orchard Road, visitors can happily head to Clarke Quay for an evening of waterfront dining and entertainment. In conclusion, Singapore is a country that managed to overcome a difficult neighborhood, surrounded by hostile players, and a lack of important natural resources. It is an example of a country that was able to successfully manage its strengths in order to maximize its economic potential, but also one that was based on an orderly society It became a beacon of stability in a tumultuous region. This order and rule of law was only possible due to a strong government headed by a highly competent individual, and the simple fact that it had a small population concentrated on a tiny piece of land that made it very manageable. This is how Singapore became an economical behemoth. I hope you liked these facts about Singapore. Make sure to subscribe my YouTube channel for more facts like this.